Hey everyone, welcome to Indie Game Arcade, a podcast all about indie games. In this episode, we're talking all about survival. We're talking about Karate Survivor, Vampire Survivors, Ode to Castlevania, and Menace from the Deep. My name is Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And I'm a survivor, I'm gonna give... Wait, what is the lyrics? I'm not gonna give up? Is that it?
No, we don't want to get sued again.
No, yeah, we can't keep getting sued. Pretend I didn't sing that so well that you couldn't tell.
It was unmistakable.
Yeah.
I feel like you pulled it directly from the track itself.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem right there. I'm going to try to just jump in real quick because we have so many things to talk about, mainly because you play too many video games. And
I go deep into these games.
I know.
Yeah, I have to talk about them.
My goodness. Karate Survivor is the one that I want to start with. This is developed and published by Alawar. I don't know if that's how you say that, but I'm gonna assume. I am familiar with them just a little bit because I don't think they were the original creators, but I believe they purchased the Beholder game series, which I really like the original Beholder, and I'm a fairly decent fan of Beholder 2. Beholder 3 doesn't have great reviews, so I haven't played it yet, but I know that they've got another one coming that they just announced, which I'm really interested in. So if you like the Beholder series, they've been a part of that.
I do want to make one little correction to what you just said. So
Fine.
This is Karate Survivor singular. You said Survivors.
I said the S. Gosh dang it.
You said the S because of Vampire Survivors.
I've been trying.
This is a singular Survivor.
I've been trying so hard not to say the S. I even didn't put the S on my notes, but I did. Right now it's $4.99 if you want to go buy it, which you should.
And that's not even on sale. That is the price, which is insane for what you're getting here.
Yeah. For a quick description, become a martial arts master in this survivor-like roguelite inspired by action movies of the 80s. Use your fists, feet, and the environment to fight off relentless thugs, master powerful combos, enhance your skills, and remember, everything around you is a weapon. So go ahead. This was one that you brought to the table. You were really excited for, and I think you should lead us in on this one. You played it quite a bit. I saw your hours played. I played it for maybe 30 minutes right before we started this call. So that's as much as I've got. So I'll chime in when I can, though.
A lot of these games I play about 6 hours of, it seems like. And this is the same here. I played about 6.5 hours of it. I played the original demo that was out during Next Fest. That was what I had talked about previously. So this being the full game, I was excited to play it, excited to jump back into it. And it's got that same 80s martial arts films vibe to it. The whole thing, animation is great. When you think about, I'm going to bring up Vampire Survivors already, but when you think about that and just how limited the animation is, because that's not really the focus of it. And then look at this thing, it's wow, they really went all out on animating this to look really good. In addition to the gameplay that has very similar vibe to it, but is a lot more involved in chaining combos together than Vampire Survivors, which is more let me just power up this weapon as much as I can.
It feels almost like they kind of married the idea of a side-scrolling beat 'em up to the idea of Vampire Survivors, that bullet heaven kind of thing.
Yeah, it's if you think about it, kind of like a fighting game where it's you're chaining combos together, high punch, low kick, whatever. It's that, but you're not having to input anything. It's an auto battler sort of thing, a bullet heaven. And I say bullet heaven because that's just the term that I've come to know it as. I don't know how widespread that is, but a bullet hell, is when the enemy is just shooting a ton of stuff at you. The reverse of that is a bullet heaven where you're shooting a ton of stuff at the enemies. And in this case, you're chaining your combos together. In the demo, they just had it okay, you've got your strong attacks, you've got your kind of semi-ranged attacks with just, having more of a range to your kick or whatever. And I think that was all the demo had was the red and the blue. There's also a yellow, which is things I don't know, drunken backhand or something, where it's these special kind of moves.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drunken Master style stuff. That's
kind
cool.
of what it feels like. That might just be like one of the moves I remember, but there's a variety of those in the yellow also. I don't know what the big difference between them all is, aside from how you're comboing them together. So they have numbers assigned to them as well. Like there'll be like red punch 1 or something. Like it'll be like a low punch or something. And then you can also get like red punch 2 and 3 and up to like, I don't know, 19 or something. There's a ton of different moves, not all of which you have unlocked right away. So that's something you have to unlock as you go. But like, let's say you get punch 1, punch 2, and punch 3. You can put what order they're going in on your action bar down there, like what order they trigger in automatically. And what you want to do is put them next to each other, so in sequential order 1, 2, then 3. And what that'll do is it will make your I think it makes them do more damage, 1, and 2, it makes them, at least using the red ones, makes them do like a little shockwave around them. So it's like the more you have chained together in sequential order, the more damage you're going to be able to do to a wider array of enemies. And it doesn't, as far as I know, like it doesn't work like if you go 1, 2, 3, and then 5. I don't think you can skip it. They'll still all chain together as red moves, but they won't get that combo from being like in sequential order after 1, 2, and 3 will, but 5 will not. So you'll have to get them connected as much as possible. And this is also like victim to RNG a little bit, where you may not get the next one in order. I don't know if there's any kind of like probability if you have one already that another one will roll that's next in line. I'm not sure about that. But if you're lucky, you can get them all as good of order as you can. And then that's really what you want to do, is get your combos as chained together as you're able to. I think there's a total of 5 moves you can have down there at a time, maybe 6.
Yeah, I think it was 6, if I remember right. And I have a question for you. So, like, is there any reason then why you wouldn't want to just concentrate on doing all reds? Because as you level up, you get to select one of 3 random cards that you can use to upgrade your guy. And some of those cards are either a move that you can add to your action bar, and that's, you know, setting up what your guy automatically does, which is on like a little cooldown timer. Or you can add something that's just like, you know, increase your damage by 5%, or your luck by 2, or HP regeneration by 0.1%, stuff like that. Is there any reason why you wouldn't want to just stack like all red moves and ignore the blue if you do get like that bonus damage by having all those reds combined? Because I was thinking that too when I was like playing, and again, I only played 2 runs that I was a complete failure at because I didn't last the 15 minutes. But I just kept thinking, like, so if I get that bonus damage, why would I want to interrupt it and take a blue move? I'm just going to go all red and try to maximize the amount of bonus damage I can do.
Yeah, so you can kind of make that decision early on. Sometimes you'll start with the blue move. Sometimes you'll start with the red move. But you can also like combine them. So you could have like red 1, 2, 3, and then you could have like blue like 7, 8, 9. I don't think they connect. Like if you had you had like a red 1, 2, 3 and blue 4, 5, 6, I don't think the red and the blue would combine into anything, but they at least combine with with themselves. So it's like you have your shockwave type move when you have your reds connected, and then with your blues it sends out like kind of like sonic boom looking things, so that seems to have more range to it when you connect your blues. And I don't know what happens when you connect your yellow moves. I don't have enough of those to make any kind of connection, but you could have like a combination of that. You could have either a string of reds, string of blues, some reds, some blues, and sometimes you're just victim to RNG and you kind of have to make that choice, or it's like, I'm just not going to get another move because my other reds aren't rolling for me, so I'm going to have to bring a blue into this and start that chain. So it's a little bit of like circumstance, but you are able to combine multiple sets of moves within your action bar. Are
you able to delete a move if you, let's say you
can
fill up your action
override
bar?
A move.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so if you grab another move, you can choose which move it overwrites, and it'll confirm to you whether you want to, so it's not like you can do it accidentally.
One thing that I also really like about this is sort of how much it plays into that idea of a Jackie Chan style martial arts film. And what I mean by that is because it is very much inspired by a lot of his action movies, is like how much you think about like a Jackie Chan film and you put him in, say, a supermarket, you expect that he's going to be like kicking stuff off of the shelves, like cans off of shelves into dudes' faces, and, you know, twirling a mop around and all kinds of stuff, right? You do that in this game. Like everything you can think of is going to be pretty much possible in some capacity. Some of those things you might have to unlock as you progress through the game and stuff to be able to, let's say, roll across a counter or something. But you can do so many of those things, and it feels a lot like that. And I just am kind of like, I don't know, almost in awe of the planning that they were able to accomplish to pull this off.
Yeah, that is a really cool aspect of this game, and also one of the downsides of it, which I think can be fixed, but I want to touch on that real quick just because I know anybody who's played this for a while will agree with me. So you have, yes, all these various weapons you can find around the level, like even a pink flamingo or something you can grab, pick up, and start hitting with it. Yeah, there's other basic stuff like pipe wrenches, even levels like in the shopping center or the grocery store for sure. Yeah, you can get a gun too, or like a shopping cart that you can push into them. But the problem with those is the damage does not scale up well with that, to the point where after you're a few minutes into your run, I'm going to say probably 5 minutes into your run, your martial art moves are going to be so superior if you have any kind of decent lineup that you're not going to want to use weapons at all anymore because they're just too weak. And that seems very counterintuitive with just the idea of weapons being a temporary thing anyway. So it's like, of course you'd want them to be strong. So it's like, yeah, I grab a weapon, I use it for as long as I can, it breaks, and I go back to my regular moves. But in this case, if you get a weapon, you can't drop them. You have to like wait until they break. So if I accidentally am in the middle of my combo and accidentally like run over an umbrella or something, pick that up, then I have to grab that, start hitting them for less damage than I was doing with my martial arts, and wait for it to break before I can get back to my regular combo.
Yeah, I would raise you this, which you would know better since you've played a little longer, but like one of my runs, I kept getting cards that was upgrading weapon damage. So for me, and like I said, I didn't get super far, like I didn't make it to the full 15-minute mark. The weapons seemed to be doing more damage for me, I think, because I had gotten those upgrades. So I think like one of them, I don't remember exactly how much I got, but like one was like a full-on damage upgrade. One was like a critical chance upgrade with a weapon. And then I also think I had increased the reach. So because of that, I was like wrecking house for a while, just using whatever I could find.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what weapon upgrades you can get during your run, but I know that it's not substantial enough to meet up with the amount of damage you're able to do with your combos after a few minutes.
Sure.
So even though, like, even in the menu where I powered up my weapon, my melee weapon as much as possible in the unlock menu that you use points from your runs to actually apply permanent upgrades to, like the weapons they still feel very weak. And so what I would say as a correction to that would be either let the weapons do more base damage than they do currently, or just have there be special martial art combos that apply some kind of multiplier if they have a weapon applied to it. So you can still hit with them normally, but if you have a weapon in there, then it does more damage along in that combo because it's got, it's a weapon type move. So I just think there are ways around it where they could upgrade and make these weapons more desirable, especially for later in a run. Because right now, especially as you like progress later into the levels, like they just start to feel like nuisances more than they do helpful.
Yeah, I could see that. I do want to draw a few comparisons and a few contrasts to Vampire Survivors with this, just because Vampire Survivors, I think, was really the game that put this genre on the map, and everybody kind of owes back to that. I mean, obviously, because we've got Survivor in the name, right? So as far as the progression of this game, it does take things, from that game, as far as there's a lot of unlocks and upgrades and stuff. We talked about some of those. One thing I like about this, though, is in addition to a currency that you earn, which in this game is teeth, and Vampire Survivors is just like the coins, and then you can upgrade certain skills and that you pay for. You can do that in this game, but there's also a lot of unlocks for you too, that you just unlock things by completing certain objectives or things like during your run. Some of them you don't even know that you're like doing. It just kind of like, I did one, and then I saw on the menu I had an unlock, and I was like, what is this? And I was like, oh, I can do this now. That would be very handy on my next run. I like that some of these unlocks are just really, really easily achievable without you having to spend a currency. And I know Vampire Survivors does have those things where you can unlock other stuff, but for that, it's more of other characters that you unlock rather than other things that benefit you in the immediate gameplay. So I think that that's one really cool aspect of this game.
Yeah, I think the fact that this is there is just one character and you're leveling his stats up and getting new abilities for him makes it easier to keep balanced with something like that, because it's more about like all you're able to do within the level with this character, and more about level interactivity than anything else, really. And that, I think, is very cool and something that they can really build on and introduce new characters to, new moves to. I think there's a lot of future with this game if the developer chooses to stick with it and continue expanding on it. I think there's so much, even in this small package, this $5 package, like there's so much gameplay and a lot of fun to be had, but he could really expand outside of this and create a larger world in the same way that Vampire Survivors has, if he chooses to.
So you hit on something there too, is that in interacting with the environment and just the environment in general being a huge part of the gameplay is really big too. And that's something that Vampire Survivors does not have as much of. I mean, there definitely are certain levels that you have to do things in to complete certain like secrets that are hidden in the game within Vampire Survivors. But overall, it's not a game-changing thing, where in this game, you are constantly interacting with things like there's stuff to break that gets you more money, and the money is the stuff that upgrades you. You've got your ATMs, your pinatas. Like we said, there's items all over the place, but there's also different, as you like upgrade and stuff, you can do different things like kick, like big objects like crates around and stuff. There's a flagpole that's in the supermarket level, that first level, that once you unlock the ability to be able to utilize that, you can kind of like use that to springboard yourself into like another room, and that's where you get the gun in that area. So there's a lot of stuff there. Also, man, this is like Vampire Survivors in that you can get yourself trapped real easily and then you're just done for, because man, it is hard to get out once you get yourself cornered by accident.
Yeah, but I will say that one of the big things that I didn't even know about at first, it took me a couple hours before I was like, oh, cool. Because I'm used to Vampire Survivors where I need to pull back and keep my distance for the most part, or else I'm going to take damage from like contact with the enemies. If you're playing in the normal mode, when you're in the middle of your combo, you can't be hurt like when you're mid combo. So you can like bring yourself into the middle of a group of enemies while you're mid combo, and you'll be hitting everything around you instead of like holding back and just picking off the edges of enemies, which is what I was doing at first out of fear. But knowing that, it's more like I guess trying to stick, I'm sure this is like intentional, trying to stick with like the 80s, like kung fu kind of film kind of vibe where they're just jumping into big groups and like taking them all out in like a circle thing. If you were to walk in there when you're not in your combo, then you're going to get hit. Yeah. But if you're mid combo or when your combo starts, you can go into that big group and you'll start hitting all of them without taking any kind of contact damage from them. So I think that's something that isn't, I don't think it was told to me at all. I think it's something you have to kind of experiment with and find out. So I just want to let you know, if you're going to start playing this, to not, if you're in that mode, you kind of have like iframes of sorts when you're in your combo.
Well, that would have been good to know. That definitely would have changed how I played. Maybe I would have lasted 15 minutes.
I could see how it might be easy to get trapped if you're just picking off the edges of these enemies, because they're coming in quick sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. And especially like when they you hit that like 5-minute mark and it starts swarming you, you get a big influx. Just like in Vampire Survivors 2, the 5-minute mark always seems to trigger like a big influx of dudes, and you'll get surrounded by a bunch of guys while like the big little mini boss comes in, which you definitely get that with this too. And they're really cool too. Like the designs of them and some of the ways that they interact are different too. Like some of them will charge you. I think that's just really interesting.
I think, how many levels are there? Are there 4 or 5 levels?
Couldn't say. Didn't get there.
1, 2. I think there's 5 levels currently. I've beaten all 5 of them on the normal mode, and I've beaten most of them on the master mode, which is the next one. And there's a legend mode after that.
Yeah.
The way that those upgrade in difficulty is in master mode, the one that I'm on, you will take contact damage if you like touch an enemy, and you still won't when you're in your combo, so you're still okay. But then in master mode, like you can be hit while mid combo. So that's where you're playing like you should play in master mode right now when you don't need to.
Yeah,
you do have to play the edges in master mode because they will still hit you mid combo.
When I first started, I started in master mode by accident.
Oh. Yeah.
So there's like a few things about the UI that just felt a little clunky for me, and I ended up joining in master mode by accident. So
my bad. Master mode is the first difficulty upgrade, then legend is the third one. I'm not sure if I said that right. Okay.
No, you did. Fighter
okay.
is the base like normal mode. So I meant to do fighter. I ended up in master. So my first run was master, and that was pretty embarrassingly bad. So I lasted a little longer in fighter at least.
Yeah, I think like once you get used to it, once you learn how to chain combos together, it does become pretty, I'm not going to say easy, but it is very manageable. And for the most part, like you'll be okay unless you just get kind of a bad pick of moves or just have a bad run, which sometimes happens. But overall, like it's an enjoyable experience and pretty chill, like compared to Vampire Survivors, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah. In fact, let's hop into that in just a second here. But how would you recommend this to others?
I would say if you like the bullet heaven type of game, or even if you're not sure you do, like let's say you've played Vampire Survivors a couple times, you're like, yeah, it's okay, but it's a little basic for me, or like you don't like the graphics or something. Well, this has a nice graphical upgrade, 1, and 2, I think it's a lot more casual of a game to jump into and enjoy the same sort of loop. And it's $5. So it's like, It's really cheap for what you're getting. Will I unlock every move of this? I don't think so. I don't know that there's enough content there for me to do that yet, but I did very much enjoy the time that I played the game and have spent with it. And I'll probably play a little bit more just to at least get to legend mode and see what's going on with that. But I don't think there are a ton of like secrets to unlock or anything to that effect. So it's a matter of it's pretty straightforward in telling you like what you need to do to unlock a certain thing to get to the next level. And it's just kind of a fun loop. So if you enjoy games like Vampire Survivor, then give it a shot.
It's just like when I started with Vampire Survivors, the very first several runs I did not do well in. but because the games are built the way they are, you get upgrades and unlocks that will enhance your next run, no matter if you did well or if you failed miserably. So because of that, each run is going to be a little bit better. So I am ready to play a lot more of this. And I'm really interested to see how it plays on Steam Deck. I don't know if you tried it, but this seems like one that would be really fun to play on there if it works if it's set up for that. So definitely one I want to play more of because of that.
I bet it would run really well. It's not too graphically intensive or anything.
Yeah.
I've got a really good computer, so I'm not one to judge. I have no idea. But if it runs fine on your computer, then it's probably going to run fine on Steam Deck.
Right. Well, let's get into the game that started this entire genre, as far as I know, Vampire Survivors. But this is the new DLC, because Vampire Survivors has been around for at least a year, maybe longer.
It's been around. Well, in totality, it's been around for 3 years.
3 years
in 2021. Because I looked it up earlier because I was curious. In 2021, it was a browser game that was made using HTML and released on itch.io. Yeah.
Crazy. So this is Vampire Survivors Ode to Castlevania, developed and published by Ponkel. And for a quick description, so you pasted this description in, but this has so much flair to it that I can't just straight up read it. This is, hang on a minute.
The sun has set on Dracula's castle once more, and as the moon rises, a hellish horde of murky mudmen, ghastly ghosts, and frightening flea men take the stage as the battle of good and evil rages once again. Unleash an arsenal of new vampire-vanquishing weapons upon these beasts and leave a trail of doom in your wake before attempting to rid the world of the unspeakable terror himself. Do not be blind to the shadow that looms over you, survivors, as your quest has only just begun. It's all very serious stuff, so now let's pump up the volume and let's go. This is Castlevania in Vampire Survivors, baby.
That's
yes.
Okay. Yeah, this is great. So just a real full disclosure.
I just wanted, that was the official description
official.
On the game page. We didn't write that.
We did not write that, but I would love to claim that we did because it was fun. Full disclosure, this is my go-to mobile game. So even though we've got it on Steam, you'll never find me playing it on Steam probably. I have not unlocked anything on Steam, but I have 100%ed all of the Vampire Survivors, the original, and let's see, how many of the DLCs? There's only one DLC I think I haven't done before this one, which was the Among Us DLC. I just wasn't really interested in that one, but I'll try it eventually. But just needless to say, this is my shit. I love this game. So I am so excited to play this. I haven't played it yet. I literally bought it right before, only an hour ago, maybe even less. So very excited to get into this. But I believe you played a little bit of it, correct?
Technically, yes, but
technically,
okay. Full disclosure: I haven't played Vampire Survivors since it was originally released on at least Steam, and so I've not played any of the expansions because they weren't even out yet when I was playing this.
Bruh.
So I'm jumping into this with, I think, 20 characters unlocked, which were the base characters.
Hell yeah.
And I looked, just before we recorded, there are at least 90 characters more that I need to unlock, plus any secret ones that may not even be showing up on my deal yet.
Oh, man, there's so many secrets for you to unlock, dude. There's so many.
I'm sure, but I don't want to look anything up because I want it to be a surprise for me. But there's at least 90 characters that is showing me I haven't unlocked. So that's just to show you how much I've missed out on. So I say that all to say that, yes, I did play some of this yesterday to start it up again and see what this Castlevania DLC was all about. But I don't have any of the Castlevania characters unlocked yet, so I can't even do anything with that. I have to kind of progress through a little bit further. But I did have fun with what I did play. Jumping back into it, there's been a lot of like ease of use changes and things like that to make it just like a lot more fun for someone just starting to come in and get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
There was, and it's like, there's so many secrets in this that I have no idea about, and I'm not going to look anything up. So there's probably obvious things that I'm missing. But even so far, I'm having a lot of fun. I saw a lot of the screenshots of like the Castlevania stuff. I know at some point, like it can go into like a 2D side scrolling kind of mode.
Yeah.
I don't know what triggers that or whatever. That might just be like progressing through the Castlevania stage, which is a giant castle. The biggest that, there's ever been in a Vampire Survivors period, largest map anyway. In this expansion, there are 20 new characters, 20 plus new characters, it says. The plus is probably secret stuff.
I was just looking at my characters on my phone, and there's 20 that I don't have. So I'm like, okay, then that means there's got to be 20 of them that they added. And yeah, there's like always there's always like there's a panel of like secrets. And a lot of those times it's always like something really weird that you have to kind of figure out mentally, like what it means first. And
it seems very obscure, which I appreciate. And again, I'm not going to look any of it up. So like there might be things that I just never find because I'm too stubborn to do that.
Usually those will lead to another character unlock of some kind or a weapon unlock. So I'm really excited to get into this, especially because it seems like there's so much. This was way more than I expected. This seems way more than any of the other DLCs they've added.
There's also 40 plus new weapons. This is just in this one DLC that I'm talking about. So over the course of the, I think, 5 other expansions, there's countless number of weapons and things that I have no idea about. So there's a lot of excitement for me personally because while I enjoyed the original game, there just wasn't much there for me to do because it was still kind of early accessy as far as that goes. So I just didn't have much past the initial unlocks. But now it's like a whole world of things that I'm going to have to explore and do. I don't play games on mobile because, I'm sophisticated. But I will play
dick.
I will play it on my Steam Deck or something at some point, which is different.
Oh.
But no, I'm gonna spend a ton of hours more on this. I can't say a lot about it right now, just because I don't have that much experience behind it. But I know the gameplay style, and I'm excited to see what I can unlock.
Yeah, I am so excited for this. And here's the thing, man. You gotta have. I am a firm believer that you have to have one good mobile game on your phone to keep you sane. Because like, what do you do when you are parked somewhere, you're waiting for somebody, you're at a doctor's office, you're waiting to go in, you're at a crosswalk and there's an old lady who's barely moving a centimeter at a time. You got to have something to pass that time. For me, it's Vampire Survivors, baby.
No, can't do it. I've tried mobile games before, and I feel gross playing them for long periods.
It's because you are gross. You're a gross man.
When I'm away from my computer or my Steam Deck, I don't want to be playing more games. Like, that's the reason I have those things, is so I can play games. I want to just experience the world.
Oh, boy. The world's overrated when you got Vampire Survivors. Ode to Castlevania.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I'm going to be all over this, man. I'm excited. I'm going to be playing it tonight, guaranteed.
And you can pick up, if you don't have the game, or even if you do, like, you can pick up it plus all of the expansions in a bundle on Steam for, I think, less than around $20. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but I bought it and all the expansions. I know it was under $30. So it's like, there's so much content for so cheap that can keep you occupied for hours.
That is
even if you choose mobile, which I think is the wrong choice.
No, it's the right choice, and you're the wrong person to make that decision. But yeah, it's great. I 100% recommend this, regardless of your familiarity with Bullet Heavens. I think that, there is a little bit of that. I don't want to even say it's a learning curve. It's almost just like, we were talking about earlier, where your first runs are just gonna be bad. And you kind of have to accept that, because like you have to be able to just get through a few things. And I know that kind of sucks, being like, you got to get through it a little bit. But like those who like the bigger challenge are going to, obviously, like people that are really good at games and good at really challenging games, they're going to do all right. They're going to do fine. They'll probably get through some of the levels without doing all the upgrades, and they'll collect the upgrades as they go. Those of us like me that aren't as good at games sometimes, who will fail miserably the first several times, are going to see an improvement every single time they play as they get upgrades and they learn different things and different strategies. So it's one of those games that you find an appreciation for really, really quickly.
What I really appreciate is the combination of weapons. There's so many. It doesn't tell you right away what they are. And I would really encourage you not to look up secrets or combos. Please just like experience them as they're meant to be experienced and unlock them as you go. It'll be so much more satisfying for you. But like a weapon combination, I'll give you an example, would be like if you've got the Bibles that are kind of like rotating around your character, they're like, yeah, they're really cool and they're good, but they're temporary and they're only so fast. Then when you get when you get the like upgrade for them, they turn into like demonic Bibles or something, and then they are permanent and they go faster, and it's like, man, these are awesome now. So all the weapons have some kind of upgrade to it if you have another item that you're upgrading as well. I don't know if that's something that always triggers or if it's something that's just like kind of a randomized trigger, whether or not they decide to combine. But yeah, those are really cool to explore and experience. And once you find out what the combination of a weapon is, it will show up on in your, I don't know, encyclopedia or compendium or whatever, and show you like, here's what combined to make this. So now you'll know from now on, but you have to experience it for the first time to figure that out. So that's a really cool way to incentivize experimenting and trying out things that you would think wouldn't have any use. Like, why am I going to use these cats? I still don't know what the cats combine with. And that's cool to me because the cat sucks, but it's like, I know it's probably something awesome once you get it upgraded.
Oh, it is.
I just don't know what that upgrade is yet. Yeah.
Yeah. The cats are great, especially like when you're closer to in-game kind of stuff where you're just trying to do unlocks for things. The cats are super handy for that kind of stuff. I can tell you, so the secret to unlocking things is basically when you're figuring out the combos and stuff, and what you need to do is just to level up, because you can upgrade weapons and things. Everything has a fixed level. Like you were talking about the Bibles, they can only level up so many times to like level 7 or 8 or something. Whatever that combos with, which I think in that instance, I think is the heart. Those both have to be, I believe they have to be leveled up to max, and then you can trigger the combination that combines them into one thing, which is like the demon Bible thing. It's like a black Bible with a red heart on it that constantly spins. And there's other things too that don't necessarily make a combination, but still really benefit in different ways. So let's say that because you are limited to how many items that your guy can carry, you didn't, because it is, again, like RNG kind of stuff. Let's say you just didn't get any of those hearts through your run and you are carrying too many things, but you did get the little red book, the tome. That book speeds up, or I can't remember if it speeds up or if I think it reduces cooldown of things.
Yeah, it does by 8% or something.
Yeah, so you get that thing and your stuff is going to keep popping. You're not going to have that pause or that lag anymore before your Bibles come out again. So even if you don't get the little demonic book thing, you get that, and it doesn't create a, quote unquote combination where they combine into one thing, but they're still benefiting it's still benefiting those Bibles because now they're just constantly running. So there's still a lot of things to experiment and play with, like you said, that are fantastic. The tome is one of my favorite things because of that.
That one's great. The little spinach leaf or whatever the hell it is great because it's just like upgrades base damage.
10%, I believe.
There's just so much cool stuff in this. And I think you have a total of like 8, maybe 10 like items you can carry at a time in a single run. So you have to still think tactically about what you want to grab. Don't just grab everything new that pops up. You have to think about what you want to combine or what would make your character or what would help him survive, basically.
Garlic.
And that's all I'm going to say about that because
garlic is the ultimate survival weapon.
Garlic is fantastic. It repels a lot and damages everything around you in an aura. It's great. I don't want to go too deep in the weeds with this because we could talk about that kind of gameplay stuff forever.
I think I could do a full podcast just on Vampire Survivors and each weapon
you have,
and secret.
Since you've unlocked all those characters and whatnot.
Yes.
But so if this excitement doesn't like get you excited to play the game, then I don't know what will. If you have played it, then you know already and you're excited to jump into the Ode to Castlevania. And if you haven't, now's the perfect time to do it.
Yeah. So definitely recommend. I think you should check it out. There's no reason not to, especially now that it's got Castlevania. And I'm really excited to hear all of that Castlevania style soundtrack over the top of it.
Yeah.
It's got some of the best gaming music of all time. So I'm ready to hear some bloody tears.
I think most of the soundtrack of this is like remixes of the original Castlevania tunes, which is fantastic.
Excited. Let's get into our final topic, which is Menace from the Deep. And Menace from the Deep is coming out November 11th, 2024. So we did play the demo. This was developed and published by Flatcoon. And for a quick description, Menace from the Deep is a roguelike deck builder with inspiration from the H.P. Lovecraft and Cthulhu mythos. And so the story of this, though, that goes along with it, because the story plays a part in the game that I want to get to and bring up in a little bit. So the story of this is in 1920s USA, an occult society stumbles across a mysterious artifact they suspect is related to dark forces that are amassing in the world around them. And they recruit others called moths, which are one of 3 characters available for you to play, that go out into the field and investigate. So that is the kind of initial setup, is you are playing one of these 3 moths, these new recruits. You are going out to investigate and, like we said, deck battler, roguelike. So the gameplay mechanics of this is once you go out into the world, you see a grid of card slots, and I believe it's like, so there's 15 slots, and then after that 15, you see a big boss encounter card. So basically you have to choose from a deck of 3 cards that you can see, they're face up, and you are basically choosing what you want to do by placing that card into one of those slots. And those cards have a gasoline cost. So it's basically kind of representing you driving around, and it might be something like a combat encounter, whether it is with some crazed townfolk, whether it's with some eldritch horrors, or going somewhere to like rest up at like a hotel to get some HP back, going to an asylum to get some sanity back, which has a cost to it. So if you think about games like Eldritch Horror, and I was trying to think of some of those other ones. Oh, Arkham Horror is what I'm thinking of, like those tabletop games. It uses a lot of those kind of sensibilities to it, and definitely like that kind of style. So then you get to like when you get to the combat encounters, it is like that Slay the Spire style deck builder where you get those cards randomly in your hand and you're choosing attacks, defense, and you're seeing what the enemy is going to do. So you defend, you attack, mitigate damage, you do things to like weaken them because there's status effects, all kinds of stuff. So that's kind of like the basic mechanics of this thing. You've also got card collection. So after you win a round of combat, you get one of 3 cards that you can choose. There's relics to collect that change certain things about your character. There's consumables. There's one mechanic that I really, really like, which is the card upgrades. And they're based around like the more you use a card, there's like almost like a experience track on each card individually. The more you use that card, the more that little experience track fills up. So once it fills all the way up, you can upgrade that card, and those cards have like their own skill tree upgrade. So you can potentially, like, the next level, maybe you do more damage with it. But the next time you fill it up after that, maybe it's like you do more damage and add this status effect, but you can also choose to do less damage and do more of this status effect, which might actually be more beneficial in certain circumstances. So I really like that upgrade system as far as that goes.
Yeah, the path plays like most roguelike games where you're choosing a path on like a road or something. Like you choose like 3 roads you can go down. In this case, it's just cards you're drawing. So it's like this a different skin on the same thing, essentially. Like you're choosing what to do next. The only difference here is like the gas is your variable, but it seems like once you hit a certain point, the gas card becomes like the next thing that you can choose, and that refills everything. I don't know what happens when you run out of gas. Like, did you win your first run of this? Because I did, and like it felt like it was almost, I don't know if it was just, I'm going to say this, like maybe it was just because it was the demo and they're trying to just like push you through it pretty quick. But if not, like if this is the way the regular game works, and I feel like the first run was maybe too easy, because I expect to lose first runs of games like this. Like it's weird for me to get through a run initially. So again, I don't know if like it was a little boosted because it was the demo of it or not, or if there's like so much more after this that like you want to win your first run because you're going to get crushed on your next ones. Like maybe that's the case. But I will say that like I got through it pretty easy, but I did enjoy my time with it or going through that run.
I also won my first run, but I feel like I don't want to say I got through it by the skin of my teeth, but I think I got close to losing, but only because, so like when you fight against like the eldritch horror things, not only can you lose HP, but you can lose sanity, just like in any of those Arkham horror games. And only the eldritch horror ones can chip away at your sanity. So those attacks don't happen super often, but they can happen. And so when I say I feel like I barely won that run, I was managing my HP just fine. I feel like I didn't take almost any damage in that boss fight. My dog took quite a bit of damage, but I managed to keep him alive. He died. So I have a dog companion. You have a dog companion in this when you're starting out in with this particular class. The I think it was like the private investigator or something. He died in one battle, and then my reward was a dog whistle. So I got another dog to replace him right away. So I felt a little guilty about that. Anyway, but once I got to that boss battle, as far as HP went, was able to balance that fairly easily, I think, which was kind of surprising for the amount of mobs that the big eldritch thing would summon. But the thing did whittle down my my sanity quite a bit. So towards the end, I only had 3 sanity points left. And whenever they do take your sanity away with one of those attacks, it's by 2. So I think even though it was down that much, he would have had to have done that attack 2 more times to do it. And those attacks only came like every once in a while. So I think I still had some wiggle room for sure. But like it was definitely making me nervous because I didn't realize at first, because I was paying so much attention to the HP. I wasn't really paying much attention to the sanity until I saw it was at like 5. And then I was like, oh shit, like I might not win this. And then in one round though, I got him from like, I think he had like 60 HP left. I got him down to like 13 really quick. And then the next round, I think he died from bleed damage or something. So
let me tell you about my run real quick though.
Sure.
Just as a contrast, like I didn't lose my dog early on. That would have had to been very early on, because what happened was like I also got that dog whistle choice. So I was like, yeah, sure, give me a dog. And so I had 2 dogs.
Oh, cool.
And in the last battle, I had 2 dogs and a dark child that I had summoned along with that. So
Jeez.
I had like an army with me. And so I was like steamrolling this guy. That's what I mean. Like it was way different. So even this last boss, like I still probably had like, I don't know, like whatever. I might have lost 2, maybe 3 sanity the whole run. So that wasn't even a fear of mine either. So like it was pretty straightforward for me with 2 dogs and a dark child at the end.
Yeah, so you had a little mini army. I just had 1 dog. So I can see why yours went way smoother.
But the fact that you still won is even more indicative of the fact that like maybe it should be a little more challenging.
Yeah, I think it could be. I also think that it could have been tweaked, honestly, for the demo, but it's like, who knows? I have no idea.
I don't know either, but I agree with that. And I don't want this to sound like I'm saying it's not a good game, because it really is. And I am looking forward to actually playing the full release. I just want to point that out because in contrast with other games of this same style, it felt a little easy for me to get through that portion of it. But I also don't play a ton of demos of things, so maybe that's how they all are.
It could also be, though, that we're getting good at these types of games because we play a lot of card battler games.
Yeah.
So even think about like the games that we've reviewed on this podcast, and a good chunk of them are card battlers. So
that's true. I mean,
I
guess I don't want to give myself that much credit, but maybe I should give myself a little credit.
A little bit, maybe. One of the things I also wanted to mention too is that you are also collecting scrap materials and stuff while you're out there to go back and upgrade sort of like the base, like the hideout of this organization, which is like this museum. And upgrading that looks like it unlocks other things. So the first thing that you unlock before you can even like go out into the world is like the propaganda department or whatever, which is what gives you like what kicks everything off. That gets you the private detective that puts you out in the world to be able to start playing the game. So there's like a bunch of other stuff out there. So I'm wondering if that's how you unlock some of the other classes, which I'm not sure what they are, but one of them looks like maybe some kind of scientist or psychologist or something. It's like a guy in a lab coat with like a little crow on his shoulder. And then the other one looks like a cultist or something. He's got like a shaved head and he's got like red markings and stuff all over him, and he's carrying a knife. So those look pretty interesting. And I'm wondering if some of those other upgrades too will be things that do different things to either your deck or enhance certain aspects, like give you extra relics to start with or things like that. I'm not sure exactly how they'll enhance your run, but I'm assuming that's what they're for.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of opportunity here, especially with the way the story was building out.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see the path that it takes. It might be something like a game we played very recently, which is Knock on the Coffin Lid, where it's like your first couple runs are like meaningless because as far as the overarching story goes, like they are such a small part of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to really unravel. And that's what I am kind of looking forward to in this, especially being the Cthulhu Lovecraft mythos going on. I think there's so much they could take advantage of. Being just a demo, I don't know really how much gameplay is here, but I would assume a lot just based on the initial kind of story that we got going on from the demo we played.
Yeah, I really like the story so far, and I really like the art. I mean, because it's a very Mike Mignola kind of style.
Yeah.
I do have a couple, I don't want to say gripes. There's just like a few nitpicks with both, though. One is just that with the writing of it and like the dialogue, the exposition, even in this demo, is super long. So you kind of have to get through quite a bit of it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
For real. It is so long.
There's so much like exposition, and then you get the screen where it's like later that day, then exposition, and then later that day, exposition the next day.
Pauses
and you're like, God, come on.
As if you're going to get to do something else, but it's like, oh no, it's just more story. It's just a pause to go to the next part of the story. Yeah, that bothered me a little bit, but I'm not really a story guy in general. So a lot of this, I'm just like, all right, blah, blah, blah. But you being a story person who reads these things or pays attention to this, like that surprises me that it wasn't your deal.
No, it felt a little unbalanced that way. Like it needs to be a little bit more balanced with the gameplay, I think. Like you need to, I feel like you need to feel like you have a little bit more agency rather than, I wanted to get in and play and play and play. I don't want to sit there and watch the story unfold. I want to play some cards and fight some shit.
Yeah, I want the story to unfold as I'm playing. Like I should be a very organic part of it. Instead, I feel like I'm just kind of on the side while the story's going on. Even
watching
my character
the Joker
didn't really come into play.
Watching Mark Hamill's Joker talk to this one guy.
Oh my gosh,
straight up the Joker. Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely like not mimicking, parroting that style.
Yes, absolutely he was. Even the look a little bit got there, but like the voice acting 100%. And that was one of the other things too, is there's a lot of voice acting. The voice acting is really good. The writing in some of it, the tone doesn't always, it's inconsistent. Like there's this one character and kind of the main guy that talks a lot. He's the one with the white beard and everything. And he's very put together. He uses very flowery language. And then there's this one part specifically where this other guy shows up and he gets away from all the flowery language all of a sudden. He's just like, "You look dirty." And it's just like, what? Like that didn't match at all. Like that happens a few times where the tone seems different. Like it was written by two completely different people. So that's a little weird to me, but that is just me being nitpicky because I pay really, really close attention to these things. So it is what it is. But overall, I had a really good time with the game. I'm a little suspicious that some AI art might have been used for it because there was like quite a few inconsistencies in some of the art that I saw, but I don't know that to be true. And I do like the look of the art because it does have that Mike Mignola kind of style, like that Hellboy kind of thing. I really, really love that. It's one of my favorite art styles. So,
yeah, I guess another comparison for people who aren't familiar with that art would be Darkest Dungeon as a kind of direct game or video game comparison.
Yeah, I'd say Wild Bastards uses a little bit of that style too, just without the vibrant colors that Wild Bastards has.
Probably less of the blacks as well. Like there's a lot of what is it, like noir sort of feel to it.
Absolutely. But I would definitely recommend this. It's one of those games that I'm very looking forward to the release. This has been on my wish list for a very long time. I believe it's a solo developer. So hats off to you for what I've seen so far. And I am planning to get this once it releases on the 11th. So very excited.
Yeah, I'm going to get it too. Even though I felt it was a little too easy in that part of it, that is not going to stop me from playing more of it.
Make it
because
harder.
I feel like I feel like they are going to make it harder, and the demo was just like a mislead, and that is exciting to me in a different way.
Speaking of demos and things like that, so there's one other demo that we both played. So let's talk about some of the other games that we played for this week. This will be a really quick one because I barely played anything this week other than the stuff that we talked about, which most of that I played today because I was busy watching horror movies because we're recording this the day after Halloween. So that was my week. But we did both play Telly the TV. I mentioned that one several weeks ago on this podcast as one that I was interested in. We both played that demo. I did not get very far in it at all, but you played the full thing. It is a platformer. You play like a little television guy going through kind of a spooky little world, and it's a 1-bit as far as art style and stuff. So I think that looks cool. And that's why I want to say, first of all, the game looks awesome. It's so cool looking. I love the design of it. And I love the sound too. Like the soundtrack's really good also. I think it's a really interesting concept. I did have a problem that I'll get to in a little bit, but Joseph did not experience this problem. So I want you to explain a little bit more about your experience.
I think, sorry, I'm just laughing at your problem because I know what it is. And
Yeah.
I think it's kind of funny personally, but I
It
also
is a
think it's
little
something that
funny.
other people may experience. And it is important. I'm glad that you're going to point it out. But
Sure.
So yes, it is something that should be fixed, but it's not something that I ran into in the game, bug wise or anything else. It was, I think, like the in total, the game was maybe 2 levels, the demo anyway. And I played both of those. I got through it fine. It's a fun, like, kind of pretty basic platformer. If you think about, I don't know if there's a way to like kill enemies or anything. Like maybe if you jump on their heads or something, but I didn't want to risk it.
You can jump
Oh,
on
okay. Well, I just avoided everything and just like ran through, got the little keys that I needed to get, and then used them all to turn on the TV, which takes you to the next level as you jump in the TV. And so that's the kind of like gameplay style it is. I don't really know how complicated it gets past that, but the demo was fairly quick. Let me see how much time I actually spent on it. I played for 10 minutes and and I finished both the levels. The entire demo was 10 minutes. And so that's 2 levels. I don't know how many levels there are. But it was also like, how much? It was another $5 game. So I'm sure there's probably not that many levels. Maybe 10 or so, which I think would be fine. It's a cute game. It's fine. It's nothing like was exceptional about it that stood out to me, but it plays well. It's got a cool look to it, and I didn't experience any bugs. So talk about yours.
I experienced a bug, but again, I do want to preface, this is the demo, so I don't know that this made it into the actual game. I probably could have done some due diligence and looked this up to see if anyone had reported on this or anyone else did, but I'm pressed for time this week, so I didn't do it. What happened with me was, and this is because of the nature of who I am as a person, which goes into who I am as a gamer, which is very anxious. When I play a platformer, I do the thing where I land on the platform and I wiggle a little bit because I'm so nervous that I'm either not going to make it or I'm going to go too far. So it's like, hit the platform, go right just a tiny bit, go left just a tiny bit, the little tuta. I've always done that. I've done that since I played Mario, But I found in this game, if you do that, if you land on the platform and you go one direction and the other direction in rapid succession really quickly, it makes you fall right through the platform. So because that's how I operate, because I'm a real nervous guy, almost every time I land on the platform, if I don't just let go of the joystick when I'm about to land, I'm going to fall right through that bitch. And then,
oh man.
So, I had a real bad time. But
yeah, I can't imagine you made it very far with that. Yeah.
I eventually got to the 4th key. It took me a real long time, but I did not get past that 4th key.
Maybe this game will be a good way for you to train yourself out of doing that rapid back and forth thing.
Maybe. Will it break my anxiety?
You, improve as a gamer. Who knows?
Maybe this game will be a testament of how well my medication and my therapy works. Because if I can get past my anxiety and not wiggle, maybe I can
Telly the
complete a
TV
level.
will be like your secondary therapy. This will be your reflex therapy.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. That surprises me to hear because that's such it seems like it would be a glaring issue, but maybe just nobody they had playtest it experienced it in that way or does that thing. Yeah.
They need someone with severe anxiety to playtest these games.
That's so weird. But I am watching, as you're talking about, I'm looking at the trailer on Steam as well. And there's really a lot of bosses and stuff, it seems like too. So there's a lot more than I experienced with the 2 levels I played. I don't believe there were any bosses or anything. So it's just a straightforward kind of run through. But given that there are bosses and other things to experience, it probably has a lot more depth than I'm giving it credit for. So I'll say just keep an eye on it. And if it looks like your type of thing, then give it a shot.
Yeah, I think you should, everyone I think should try it, because I think the way the game is designed, as far as the look, the feel of everything, if that bug wasn't there, this is a game I would definitely get more and more into. And like I said, it might be fixed in the full version. I don't know. If not,
you didn't tell me
I
about
should
the
reach out to
bug
the guy
at first. You just were like, I really didn't have a good time with this game. And I played it and I'm like, what was wrong with it? It was fine. And then I didn't learn until today what your problem was. That's why it's so funny to me.
you were cracking up as I told you. So there's that. You're welcome. You're welcome for your entertainment.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
didn't play anything else. So go ahead and talk about all the games you played.
Okay, so a lot of what I was playing was kind of just like finishing up games from prior weeks. So Diceomancer, one we talked about last week, I believe, I beat a run of this one, and the last boss that they had, I won't spoil anything, but the last boss was very interesting, had a lot of like cool mechanics to him that made me very curious about what else there is to this story-wise, because it almost unlocks like a different like depth to it where it's like, oh man, okay, now I'm super curious to see like how the story is going to unfold. And so I'll be jumping back into this to try to do that over the course of time. I don't think it's one that I'll like get as deep into as I did with Knock on the Coffin Lid, at least not for such an extended period of time. So I'll probably play this over the course of like a couple months or something, and take breaks from it and just see what kind of happens after each of these runs. So Diceomancer, really cool game. Still recommend it. Then I was playing Kill Knight, which was also something I talked about last week, I believe. I don't know. I'm getting my weeks mixed up. But I played Kill Knight because I wanted to beat it. Because at that point I was talking about, I was only up to the 4th level, I believe.
Yeah, no, you were only on the 3rd, I think.
I was still stuck on the 4th level.
Yeah,
I
you
couldn't
hadn't
beat
gotten
the
to
4th level.
Yeah.
And so there's 5 levels total. I was playing on the Acolyte difficulty at that point.
Yes.
I even finishing the 3rd level, I was still only like in the top 5% of players who had done it at that point. And now I've beaten the game on Acolyte, like all 5 levels. And then I jumped from Acolyte. There's 2 other difficulties after that. There's Night, and then there's Sufferance. I went straight to Sufferance after I beat the game because I was like, I'm feeling pretty good about like my skill level now. I'm going to jump right to the hardest difficulty. And I got to the first 3 levels again, got K rank on them, which is the highest rank apparently. And now I'm stuck again on the 4th level. I'm getting so close, but it's very frustrating because I keep getting like taken out in dumb ways at the end. So even though like I know the enemies, like I can read the language of the game and react to it, it's the stupid lasers. And if anybody's played this game, they know what I'm talking about. This rotating room of lasers gets me almost every time because I'm just anxiously jumping around there. And if I dodge an enemy, sometimes I'll dodge into the lasers and it's just, it's very upsetting. But
it sounds like someone else has some game anxiety to them, huh? Interesting.
When it comes to lasers, yeah, apparently. So yeah, I'm still playing this game. I do want to see if I can beat at least the Sufferance mode. There's another mode after that that's like Sever or something. I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically like a full run through all 5 levels in succession without a break. I don't know if I'm ever going to feel that confident or even have that much patience to do that, but I at least, will finish the, Sufferance mode just because it's cool and I feel like it's a fun challenge.
It's almost like the Elden Ring challenge where you have to like beat it without any deaths, which feels impossible.
Yeah, I mean, there's people who can do it without taking any hits, and that's what feels impossible.
I think that's what it was no hits. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's insane to me. I'm just way too like nervous to not get hit by something stupid. So yeah, still playing that. And then the last game I played was To the Stars, which is a fast-paced kind of whimsical roguelike strategy game. And in this one, you're kind of jumping around from planet to planet, trying to conquer enemy territories and control resources. And as boring as that sounds, like it has a really fun, like whimsical art style to it.
Yeah, the look is great.
Yeah, like it is so cute to look at. And your plan is not necessarily to conquer the galaxy or whatever, but you just want everybody to see things your way. And so you want to be like the dominant alien faction who everybody agrees with. The faction that I beat it with is the first one, which was like the Crisperians or something. And they're essentially like people.
Got it.
They're people made of crystals and stuff. And they're like yoga, I don't know, devotees or something. They're all about like peace and love and yoga.
I get it, because crystals. Yeah.
And coffee shops and stuff. So that's all they want, is to spread that kind of like tranquility around the universe. And as you go through, kind of, you're unlocking a different parts of their story. Everybody has like 5 story sections. So you essentially need to beat like 5 constellations, which unlocks their full story. And as you do, you're getting these, like, you're getting 1 energy per constellation. You can use that energy after the fact in a roguelike fashion to unlock other factions, the alien factions. My issue is that some of those get so expensive and you're only getting 1 of those energies per run. So the time to unlock all of those alien factions would be a lot more than I think I'm going to be able to play this game, because it's not that it gets like super repetitive or anything. It's just that some of the runs start to feel kind of samey because there's not really a ton of stuff you can do in the battles once you kind of figure out a good, once you figure out the mechanics behind them. And sometimes you'll lose a battle or whatever, but you can usually come back and kind of persevere if you play it a certain way. But all the same, like, there's not enough variety here that I think I would want to play enough to unlock every single one of these alien factions, unfortunately, unless I was just so driven by see every single one of their stories unfold. I'm not sure if there's enough there for me to continue going back to. So that would be my only real complaint about it. As like a one-off kind of thing that you're jumping into play casually, I think it's really fun and it's got a very cute style to it. And you'll find joy in playing it, but I would say just like, don't worry about trying to get all the alien factions, because that would take so long.
For a split second, I forgot, because I had seen the art of this before, but like I forgot when you first started talking about it, what game this was. And I was just like, is this like a Tom DeLonge thing? I don't know. And then I realized what it was, but no, not a Tom DeLonge UFO search game. Got it.
Not to my knowledge. I think this is from like a German developer.
Okay, got it. Understood. As far as upcoming indie titles on our radar, wish list, or our play calendar, there's a game coming out on the 5th, which means it'll probably be out by the time this comes out. The HappyHills Homicide, which is something that I've been looking forward to. This is a modern pixel art style game where you play as an 80s style slasher, and you're going through like a story and hunting down residents of the town of Happy Hills. And it just looks really fun, looks real sinister. You get to play as the slasher, which I think is kind of fun. And you can do some of the kills, and some of them look pretty gruesome and elaborate, which just seems really fun. I don't know if you've ever seen the trailer for this. This has been on my wish list for, God, I don't know how long. But I've been looking at this forever, and it's finally coming out. The slasher looks really good. I'm pretty excited for it. I've got two.
I've never seen this before, but it does look pretty cool. I like the slasher's mask and the art style.
Yeah, exactly.
What type? Oh, it's a puzzle platformer. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm really excited for that. There's 3 others that I just kind of recently discovered, and none of them have a release date just yet, just kind of like a time frame. So the first one is Loco Motive, which is supposed to release sometime this year. Hopefully, we'll see. It's a point-and-click murder mystery set on a train in the 1930s, all done in pixel art again. And with that sort of like LucasArts style humor, it seems, sort of like Monkey Island or Day of the Tentacle. But from what I understand, you play, I think, like one of 3 people or characters that are kind of investigating a murder on the train. So I think it gives you maybe a little bit of different viewpoints as you try to solve the murder and do investigating and stuff. It's supposed to be like really funny. And I mean, if it's reminiscent of the LucasArts style, like that's to be expected. So I'm looking forward to that because I used to love those LucasArts games. Then there's Wheel World, which used to be called Ghost Bike. So I was trying to find info on this one because I had Ghost Bike written down, but they recently changed the name. So anyway, this is supposed to release sometime in 2025. It's a bicycle game with gorgeous art. But you play through a story. I believe you're like a courier, and you're going through the story. You're delivering stuff and doing races against other people. And you're also in somewhat of a sandbox kind of world that you can explore. And the sort of like main sticking point of this game is that you have a bike that I believe is possessed by an ancient spirit, and you can upgrade it and do different things. So it's like you were chosen by this ancient spirit essentially to have this bicycle and do certain things, accomplish certain tasks. The art seriously looks amazing. And if the soundtrack is anything like the song they use in the trailer, that's going to be a banger too. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
I was looking at the trailer of it. One of the bike customizations, it's like a naked person you're riding on the back of. Okay. It flashes by so quick that I had to like pause it and like rewind a little bit. It's like, wait a minute, what did I just see? Yeah, that's wild. But anyway, it looks cool. Art looks great.
Yeah, it's by like I think it's Annapurna Interactive. They always make really good games. So
okay, if you're watching the trailer, the very first trailer on the Steam page, pause it at 40 seconds exactly, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay, I might have to do that, and so I can see it soon. Last game is Mousebusters, and this is also to be announced or released somewhere in 2025. This is also another pixel art game. This is a point-and-click adventure where you play as a little mouse in an apartment that becomes infested with demons, and then you, as this mouse, are basically becoming like a Ghostbuster, and you're trying to save your human roommate that is walking around actual human size while you're all tiny. It seems really fun, really cute, but some of it honestly does look kind of creepy. So I'm really excited by this and the contrast of like the tiny, cute little mouse, but these huge, grotesque demons and stuff that are trying to get into this apartment and hurt the human inside while you have your tiny little mouse computer and your little gear and you're trying to stop these demons. It looks so cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. And even the logo really screams Ghostbusters. By the way, the
exactly.
O is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see what we're talking about. There are three things I want to mention. The first one being Blasphemous 2's expansion, Mea Culpa, which came out on Halloween, actually, October 31st. So I haven't played Blasphemous 2 yet. I have it. I just haven't played it yet. I really enjoyed the first one. I played through all of that. But now there's an expansion for the second one, so that reminded me that I had it and means I need to actually play it. In this one, you're getting more executions and abilities, 2 new bosses, 2 large new zones, and alternate ending for your character, apparently, and just a lot of different things. So I'm looking forward to trying out this expansion. The next one I wanted to point out is Munch, which comes out on November 4th. I just want to read you the description of this one because it sounded fun. Kill, eat, evolve. Unleash your inner monster in this dark fantasy action roguelite. Devour the followers of order. Choose your mutations and transformations into 12 different monsters, each with their own abilities, soundtrack, and appetite. Crush the god Ordo to release the gods of heavy metal. So that one sounds really fun. And I love that like to customize your character in these runs, you're actually just eating other things. It looks really cool. So that's one I didn't really know about until today when I was looking around at other indie games. So looking forward to that. And then Redline Crooks is the next one I want to point out. That one is like a roguelite racing game sort of thing where it's like a fast-paced racing game where you're destroying cops, walls, possibly yourself in pursuit of freedom and riches is what the description says. You upgrade, slam, taunt, and boost your way out of imprisonment through the lawless roads that lie ahead, and you may find personal absolution. So I guess this one you're trying to like escape the police and get freedom, but it looks kind of like a top-down twisted metal type of vibe to it, where you're just like blowing everything up as you're kind of passing by, shooting weapons and stuff. I'm assuming the upgrades you're going to get are different like weapon attachments and stuff for your car, but it looks wild. Like I just learned about this one today as well, and it looks very fast paced. I think you get a different choices. I'm not sure like if you have to kind of like GTA it and like steal different vehicles, or if you're choosing different vehicles at the start of your run or what, but it looks really hectic. So I'm looking forward to trying it out.
I like the idea of that game, especially because traditionally racing games have usually not been my thing. So any twist on the genre that could get me into trying one, I'm always going to be interested in. So I think this would be cool.
Yeah, like think about like a top-down Mario Kart, but faster paced and with more deadly weapons, I would assume.
That's interesting. Really interesting. Also, I did go to the trailer and pause it at 40 seconds.
You see what I'm talking about?
I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. It's so shiny too. It's like a shiny naked body.
And their head is still the basket of the bite.
Yeah, it's the basket. And you always have the little floating skull in front of it too, which is the little spirit thing. But yeah, it's a little creepy.
It was just like, as it was, because it's just like quickly flashing through different upgrades for your bike. And so when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute, what did I just see?
I didn't catch
had to
that.
point it out.
I didn't catch that the first time. Eesh. Oh, man. I'm very sorry about that, except I'm not. I think everyone should go find that. That's hilarious.
No, that's fantastic. They wouldn't have like shown it on their trailer if they weren't excited to show it.
Yeah, that'll be the reason we buy the game.
Yep.
Anyway, if you did enjoy this episode, please do us a favor and share it with someone who loves indie games. There's so many games that we talked about that you can introduce to them through this episode. You can catch me playing some of the games we talked about on this episode over on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/nerdsloth, and also catch hundreds of hours of bonus content, including a bonus podcast for those at the $5 tier over at the Nerdsloth Treehouse, which you can access by subscribing at patreon.com/nerdsloth. We also have a subreddit now that's just Indie Game Arcade. That's going to act as a hub for indie game reviews. No matter how big or small the game may be, you're invited to share a review of that indie game so more people can find more games to play. You'll see some consolidated reviews of some of the games that we've talked about on the show, as well as some others that we haven't, start to pop up on there as well. But that's game over for us. My name's Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode.
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth. For additional podcasts, go to nerdsloth.com. If you'd like to support the show, there are multiple tiers available at patreon.com/nerdsloth, with hundreds of hours of bonus content from everything we do at Sloth Creative, including bonus gameplay videos of the games we talk about on the show. The theme music for the show is Retro Game Tapes by Audio Line. If you'd like to get in touch with us, or if you're an indie game developer and would like us to consider reviewing your game, send us an email to podcasts@nerdsloth.com with the subject line Indie Game Arcade.